Let's talk about podcasts. These are some of my favorite podcasts that literally transformed and changed my life for good. Ever since I started listening to this podcast, I literally saw my life shift to a whole nother level. I love some of these podcasts and I think you would too. That is why I'm going to share some of my favorite podcasts. So make sure you stick around through to the end of this video and I'm sure you're going to love it. The first podcast, I really love this podcast. This one, I think almost everybody knows it. It's the Tim Ferris Show podcast. I personally love episode 648. Tim featured James Clare in this episode and it changed my whole perspective. It talked about habits and how you can make small progress and changes towards your habits. Habits is a big part of us. We really need to change our habits to be able to see results and to be able to transform our whole life. I definitely love this podcast. It's hosted by Tim Ferris. Tim Ferris is a serial entrepreneur. He's also the author of the 4-Hour Work Week. I really love that book. I read that book and it really transformed my whole entire life. So that's one point to Tim Ferris. Some of the episodes I really enjoyed listening to is the episode 647, I think, with James Clare. James Clare is also the author of Atomic Habits and he really talked about creating identities with habits in place. He also talked about how we can reinforce habits each day to become better people and change our lives. I really loved that episode. So that's a really good one to check out. Tim Ferris Show. This next one I'm going to be talking about is actually an absolute gem. I found this podcast while I was scrolling through some other podcasts trying to find newer podcasts to listen to. I've been listening to this for I think 2 months now and it's really great. It's hosted by Jenna Snack. Jenna Snack, it's also called The Psychology of Your 20s. Amazing podcast. Like if you're in your 20s and you're looking for podcasts to listen to in different topics. Actually, I think she released an episode on why do we worry about our future, which is a very recent upload. I really enjoyed listening through to that one. That was a great listen. Another episode that I really found impactful was the episode she released. I think it was in episode 68, the myth about dream jobs. That was very helpful. Sometimes we think that a dream job would make us happy, but then she explains the dream job as not just one thing, and she also made me realize that you can actually have several other things that make you happy and you can make that a profession as well. It doesn't have to be one thing that defines your dream job. So definitely check out The Psychology of Your 20s. If you're in your 20s and you're struggling with navigating through your 20s, you're trying to find a way to make your 20s live the best life in your 20s and you're trying to find ways to navigate through your 20s, I think you should definitely give Jenna Snack a try. She's really amazing. And this one is kind of like my OG podcast listen. I really love Aileen Zoo. She's also a YouTuber and this is the Lavender Lifestyle. It's a place where you can find tips on minimalism, lifestyle. It's just amazing. Like the way she delivers, the way she talks is so soothing to my mind. I love her intros. I love how she approaches things. She also features YouTubers and some of the well-known people. Like there is an episode where she actually featured Malamar. She's also a YouTuber, very minimalist. I love them both. So I definitely think if you're in the YouTube space or you're actually trying to be very minimal, find good self-care and lifestyle habits, you should definitely check her. Her podcast basically helps you create a lifestyle that you want. It pushes you in the right frame of mind to pursue whatever lifestyle you're hoping to, hopefully a minimal one. So you should definitely give Aileen Zoo a listen. I love her podcast. Now, back to another favorite one of mine. Initially, when I started listening to him, he would give these very simple, straight to the point, effective tips on how to create better habits, on how to go about things, whether fitness, sleeping more, eating less, whatever problem. So I really like that. I just find it very easy to relate to his kind of content. These days, he's putting out more longer form content. He's putting out more longer form podcast, and it's not bad, but yeah, because I still listen to it, but it's a great one. And also, the Ashton Doctor, he featured a really, I think, let me look for this episode, hold on. There was this really good podcast with Dr. John DeMartini. Very good. It talks about spirituality. It's really good. He talks about navigating through pleasures, spirituality, and going beyond our survival mode. Very good listen. You should definitely check this one. Dr. John DeMartini, he really exposed my mind to a lot of things. He talked about illusions, how we all need to transcend illusions, and that everything about the life we live, spirituality and all, is all about transcending from one illusion to another. So that's a really great episode. Thank you, Ashton Doctor, for bringing Dr. John DeMartini on your show. It was really a great listen, and you guys definitely check these up. The fifth one I want to bring to you guys is called The Gold Digger by Jenna Kutcher. I love Jenna Kutcher. If you're a blogger, you know what I'm talking about. Jenna Kutcher, she's been there, and she's a serial entrepreneur. Serial entrepreneur. She talks about business tips, setting goals. Also, if you're a new blogger and if you're trying to start up a new business, you should definitely be listening to Jenna Kutcher. She shares very helpful tips on business, goal setting, planning. Talk about anything business related. You'd find it on Jenna Kutcher's page. It's like your one-stop place for tips, tricks. If you're not sure what episode to listen to, as a new blogger, I recently listened to episode 647. This one was about how to improve your websites and all. I don't remember who she featured, but that was a really good one. If you're a blogger, they shared a lot of helpful tips on blogging, website design, website creation, website promotion, name it. It's all there. So Jenna Kutcher, The Gold Digger, is a really good podcast to listen to. Lastly, this one I recently just discovered. It's called The Knowledge Project. I discovered this from one of Ali Abdal's videos on his favorite podcast, and I think it's a really good podcast. This podcast is hosted by Shane Parrish, and I love this podcast. He features some of these entrepreneurs and business owners in different industry. One of my favorite episodes was episode 161, where he featured Jim Datmer, I think. Yeah, that was the pillars of integrity. I really learned a lot about that, because these kinds of podcasts, they help me personally. Podcasting is a good way to listen to people as well as learn a lot. You're not just spending time watching the videos, you can easily listen to them. And there is something about listening to people who have the knowledge. You find these little germs, these little bombs they throw in between that just opens your whole mind to a new world. This is why I think if you're not listening to podcasts, what are you doing? You need to get right on the train. You need to get hooked on it, because it's going to definitely expose your mind to a lot of things. And I think one thing he mentioned in that podcast was about some of the pillars we need to work on when we talk about integrity. He talked about approval, and he talked about control. And sometimes we want to have control over things and we become control freaks. And then you realize that too much and excessive need for control can actually cause damages to your integrity as a person. I learned a lot about integrity and why we need to have good grounds with integrity. So that's about it for some of my favorite podcasts. I definitely loved listening to this podcast, and I found this podcast very helpful in my life, in my personal development, and I think it would literally transform your entire scope and your mind. Let me know if you want to see more on podcasts, some of my favorite podcasts. I could talk about books also and movies in case you are a movie lover as well. Yeah, so do let me know if you want to see more videos like this. That's about it for today's video. Make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to share this video to your friends and family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.